God, I just can't come up with another video right now. I think my channel fell off, man. I mean, my peak video was just a joke I came up with in the shower. What am I gonna do? I've got your solution, Bananica. And what would that be? Turn to the dark side, Doc. You gotta do a ranking video. But I already did a ranking video, the accessibility videos. Those don't count because you didn't actually rank the maps. That's facts, yo. Okay, I'll do it. I can't wait. Have a nice day, man. Well, after thinking about what I'm gonna pull out time into as a video, I finally come to the decision that it's gonna be the soldier ranking every single weapon video, because it's just such an original idea and it's so fire. And I gotta set up some ground rules first before we start the actual video. All soldier weapons will be ranked, but reskins of the soldier weapons don't count. So items like the shovel and the frying pan won't go in separate categories, even if the frying pan is funnier as a weapon. So reskins don't count. And it is all subjective. This is all my opinions and it is not the truth. You can have your own opinions. You can put them down in the comments below if you want and see if you agree or disagree if I want. And without further ado, let's do this. The stock rocket launcher is, in my opinion at least, the best primary stock weapon in the entire game. It's so versatile. It's a weapon that it literally just screams soldier. It is pretty well balanced and good design. You have your 4 rockets. They deal their normal standard damage for a rocket launcher. And the things you can do with this thing are beautiful. Just like every other launcher, you can do all the rocket jumping stuff, which is giving a soldier an amazing skill set. And as a weapon, this is just all around very well balanced, very well rounded. You can use it in so many versatile situations, but it has its weaknesses like getting air blasted. That's one of them. Or being in close counters, close quarters, you're gonna shoot yourself like every other soldier rocket launcher. So it just sets the standard for the soldier rocket launcher. So I'm gonna have to put it in A tier, and this is setting the bar really high. But if anything is below it, it means I'd rather use the stock launcher. If it's an S tier or also an A tier, it means I put it on par with the soldier rocket launcher, or it's better in my opinion. Hint, that might not happen. I might not put another launcher in S tier just because the stock already has such a good stats and so good. The direct hit is probably one of the more skill-based weapons inside a soldier's arsenal. If you suck at aiming and timing your rockets, you're not going to do all of it. But if you're a good player, the direct hit might be a direct upgrade to the standard rocket launcher, although it lacks the important splash damage a soldier's original rocket launcher provides. But with the direct hit, you can deal more damage to single targets, which is very good for many situations. And there's also a joke where it's the best melee weapon in the game, because if a scout comes up to your face and you have this gun out, there's a 90% chance if you shoot it directly into their face, they'll blow up instantly. That is literally a one-hit kill on a scout. It's just very well. The rockets of this weapon are pretty fire because they're fire. And I think I'd put this weapon in A tier. I put it higher if I was better at the game maybe, but I think the splash damage being gone probably would also keep it out of S tier. So A tier it is, but a lower A tier at that. I put it maybe a little bit probably on par with the standard rocket launcher. The black box is kind of a mid weapon because it has all the stats of the normal rocket launcher, but it's missing one rocket inside of its clip. But the upside of it is that it restores 20 health points. So if you're really good at hitting your shots, you're not gonna die, which is kind of a joke in the community. I think how if you use this gun with the contrary, you won't die. But I think it's pretty mid because that extra rocket really can affect some encounters. So you have to reload so often with this weapon. It's pretty annoying, but sometimes if my life gets saved by the gun, I feel very, very happy with that. So I think I'm gonna put it in B tier, but it's very high up on B tier and almost on par with stock in my opinion. Okay, first of our weird rounds here. The rocket jumper is a very special weapon for a very special type of gameplay. So I don't think it would be responsible to put it on the same tier list as the rest of soldiers' weapons, but rather put it in its own category for its own thing. It's going to be the Trolldier tier. Weapons to go in this tier are meant entirely for Trolldier. I think the rocket jumper's only purpose serves to be a Trolldier or train your rocket jumping skills. But if you were to play an actual match, if this is your primary, primary, and the rest of your loadout has like a shotgun and a shovel. I don't know what's going on. Either you want to hit some fire clips with the shovel, or you're running around with the shotgun aimlessly, but something's wrong with you. So I'm gonna put the rocket jumper in its own soldier category, and I hope you're happy with that. But if I were to put anywhere else, I think I put an F tier because it does nothing. Okay, like lol XD. I, as opposed to other people, like the Liberty Launcher, and that means I'm stupid because the Liberty Launcher, mathematically, is not as good as a stock rocket launcher because it deals less damage and since it has 5 rockets inside of its clip, it'll take more time to dump out that damage. But I like the Liberty Launcher because it has Liberty in it, and I'm American, and I think it's just funny to hit scouts more often and just deal like 40 damage to them, which is like tickling them a little bit. It's pretty funny. I hit more shots with it. It's you have more dopamine, so it makes me more susceptible to feeling pleasure while using this weapon. But I think simply because it's just not as good as stock, I'm gonna have to put it in B tier. But you know, like, I love this weapon. Well, now, the Cow Mangler stats might confuse me as a human because they're so long, but this weapon is pretty straight fire. It's just like the normal stock weapon, right? But it deals less damage to buildings, and it has no random crits, which is fine because random crits are poo-poo, and you can't find them on Uncle Dane's servers anyways and many other community servers. And instead of critting, they mini crit, which is kind of poo-poo, but usually, you know, like, I don't care. They have a secondary fire where it's just a big, beautiful blast of energy, and I love it. It feels so good when you hit a big group of people with it. But and also, this weapon maintains no ammo, so you don't need to use any bullets using this weapon. So you can just forever use this no matter what situation you're inside of. So it's very good, very well. I'm putting Cow Mangler $5 on yes tier because it's so cool. I love the Cow Mangler, bro. You can't take this thing away from me. The Beggar's Bazooka is a very goofy weapon, but I think it's pretty funny. I think it's pretty cool to use it. Although I do suck, so I can't use it. I literally cannot use it. But if I was good at the game, I think I would love it. The only problem I have with it is the horrible aim it has. It's very terrible. It's just a weapon that I am incapable of using. I don't know why I'm still talking about it. I think that its versatility for getting a nice group of people, hit them with 3 rockets really quick, really quick, right? And rocket jumping especially, you can like ramp up that stuff. It's crazy what clips you can find in the Beggar's Bazooka online. But this weapon overall is kind of a mid weapon in my opinion. I know I'm very contradictory, but I'm gonna put this weapon in B tier because I suck at it, and you know, El Boza. The airstrike is a weapon that it's probably the rocket launcher I use the least, but in combination with other weapons like the gun boots, you can rocket jump up into the sky using the airstrike and just rain down hell on the enemy. That's really cool. The problem is I don't get enough kills of it to get more rockets, so I'm always stuck at the initial 3 or 4 rockets. I mean, I think it's 4 rockets that you start with, and I just can't really ramp myself up. But I think one time in one game, I did get up to 8 rockets, and I was having a blast until I got killed by like probably a spy or something. So I think it's a very good weapon, but on its own, without any support, it really like sucks. So I'm gonna put it in B tier alongside the rest of the rejects. But every soldier primary is pretty good. B tier is not an unusable weapon. It's just maybe worse than using just the standard stock weapon. I wouldn't say that these weapons in B tier suck. And that's gonna be a conclusion of the primary section onto the secondary. Starting off the secondary portion of this video, the shotgun is one of the most basic weapons in the entire game. It does its job, but it does it well enough. But I don't know why I would use this thing normally. I think the only purpose this gun actually serves is by pulling it out when you're trying to fight a pyro and you catch your rockets of them because they're actually good at the game and it can deflect your rockets. When you're up close encounters, maybe if you're good with your aim, you can land a good shot on them. And if you don't get random bullet spread, you'll probably kill them faster than you would by shooting rockets at them. So up close encounters and countering against pyros is very good for this weapon. And overall, I think I'd put it in B tier because B stands for basic. The buff banner is the first of the many banners on this list, and I'll say it's one of those weapons of all time because it's really a team play. Charging up the buff banner is expensive, but it'll pay off when it can definitely help you and your team push a choke point. This can be used in many situations such as pushing the payload or capturing an objective or another objective-based thing, right? Or you can literally just do it by yourself. If you're really good at soldier, you can literally run around and wreak havoc with this thing if you can deal that much damage. So, in the end, I think this is a really good team play weapon, but it's also not the best banner, so I'm gonna put it in A tier. And later on, you'll probably see another banner, hint, going up in the like S tier or maybe A tier, depending on how I feel in my mood. You cannot have a world of soldier and rocket jumping without the gunboats. The gunboats are just like one of the best secondaries in the game for doing loadouts, and they're pretty fire. But as a weapon on their own, if you're just using the gunboats for some reason and you don't rocket jump and you're not soldiering and you just have it in your secondary slot, it's useless. But that's not what it's meant to be used for. It's meant to be used in unison with the other items. It has specific use cases like airstrike, rocket jumping. Like maybe you can use the rocket. This is one of those soldier weapons, and it's really useful for that. So I think I'm gonna put it in A tier because it's a pretty fire weapon for when it's used properly. The Battalion's backup is the banner that I've used the least, but it's also one of the better ones because its advantages that it gives you are fire, not only for yourself, but for your team. And the boost when you blow a horn on it is great for getting past choke points because it'll help your team to get a lot of damage. So it's good for pushing. Just like every other banner, it's useful for that. But what makes it better than the other banners is it negates the damage. So you don't have, your entire team is safe, even if they don't land a single shot on the enemy. You'll have a better chance of surviving on the counter. So I'm gonna put this weapon in S tier because my friend CJ told me to, and I'm being held at gunpoint. The Conjurer is my favorite banner because I am a coward and I like to have the extra healing that it commits to over time. It's like a bandage after every battle I get into. It doesn't even add up. I don't even know why I use this thing, but I just like to feel more safe. You know, like if I grew up in the hood, I'd be comfortable having a Conjurer in my backpack. I don't know why I said that. That's funny. But what makes it cooler on the other banners is that when you blow it, everybody around you is really fast. So you get to go crazy and you get these insane clips that I've never recorded before. But if you're good at the game, you can get some pretty good clips. So I'm going to put the Conjurer in S tier alongside the Battalion's backup. But I like the Conjurer the most. People can disagree with this. Some even say the buff banner belongs in S tier too. I don't know. But that's the opinions for all the banners. The Mantreads are the gunboat's cousin that's better at pretty much everything that the gunboats does, according to my friend CJ, because I'm being held at gunpoint. So I'm gonna have to put the Mantreads in S tier, which is the earliest I ever said what tier I'm putting in. But the reasoning behind this is that the Mantreads are better for positioning yourself in a place where you can soldier. And if I had my stay, I think I'd put the Mantreads in soldier tier, but they have other applications that make them better than just being a soldier item. So S tier it is. Have a very nice day, and you can find me in the comments, okay? The reserve shooter is one of the craziest weapons in the game because it doesn't not only just imply to soldier, right? The reserve shooter is one of the most interesting games. The reserve shooter is one of the most interesting weapons in the game because it not only applies to soldier, but it applies to pyro, I believe, too. But it's used for very specific use cases, which is hitting people in the air, which is a very interesting design for a weapon. But that also means it's weaker at standard combat. So I'm gonna have to put it on par with the shotgun, which is B tier, because it only applies to good situations sometimes, and bad situations it's worse in stock. So it's just a really funny weapon. I don't use it at all, so you can fight with me in the comments about it, tell me something about it, but do whatever you must. But I'm gonna put it in B tier. D tier. The base jumper is one of the craziest weapons in the game because in combination with a soldier or rocket jumping or airstrike loadout, it can be very useful. Maybe not for the soldier one because if you use soldier with it, you're kind of a coward, right? But the base jumper is good for adding more movement to soldiers' already very extensive moveset. So I'm gonna put the base jumper in B tier because its purpose is only served in the right places. So have fun. The panic attack is better in stock in my opinion because it just shoots faster and the dopamine receptors in my brain are going off pretty hard when that happens. But in any situation where random spread is off and those extra bullets don't really count, I think that's how that math works, then it sucks. But in standard TF2 it's a pretty fire weapon and it's my favorite shotgun out of any of the shotguns in the game. Maybe the Widowmaker for engineer works better against that, but it's good for just whipping it out, hitting a couple shots and doing it. I'm not good with my shotguns, but it's my favorite. I'm gonna put this one in A tier. It's pretty fire, so have a nice day. And that concludes it for the secondary section of the video. Moving on to all the melee weapons.
The stock shovel is a very reliable melee weapon for soldiers especially because all of his other melees are kind of shite. Like the equalizer, kind of shite. The shovel, it's basically a multi-tool. You know, you can dig with it and you can hit people with it. Those are my thoughts. The equalizer is quite an interesting weapon, you feel me? Right? So it reduces 90% of medic overheal. And you do more damage the lower health you are. And you go crazy, but you die. So there's no real point of having that bonus damage. Whereas the escape plan, you have the same debuff, but you go fast when low. So I think the equalizer is poopy.
The pain train is one of the weapons that sucks so much that I'm gonna put it in D tier again, but I'm gonna have more reason with it than a righteous bison, because the pain train, it doesn't do anything. It helps you cap points, which sometimes isn't even useful in many situations, like if you're playing on a capture a flag map, but it just deals less damage and it's less effective as a standard weapon than it should be. So obviously it's gonna be worse than the shovel, and its tiny niche little thing that it does isn't actually worth it in equipping it. I've seen this problem more with Demo Man, because Demo Man can have way better things in his tertiary slot than the pain train. So I'm gonna put this weapon all the way down in D tier because it's one of the worst ever. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never used Toichi because it's one of the few weapons I don't own in TF2 because I'm like a free-to-play epic man. But the interesting idea of being forced to use it is an idea that I don't want to see happen, but it seems to be a pretty mid weapon. I'm gonna put it in B tier because I haven't used it, but people in the comments can say whatever they want about that. Tell me if it's good or not. It's one of the weapons of all time. Oh yeah, baby, the disciplinary action is I use this thing in my loadout all the time because I don't use melee that often, so I just roll out by whipping this weapon out and whipping all my teammates and just coming out of spawn really fast. It's pretty fun to use that way. It's one of the funner weapons of all time. And even when you use it in a combat scenario, it's not as effective as any of the other melee weapons, but it'll do its job sometimes. I've got some kills with it by whipping it out. It's pretty much as useful as any soldier melee in that case for just whipping them out and killing kills, but its main purpose of charging you and your teammates in a battle is very useful, especially for maybe rushing a point or trying to come out fast and you're trying to rush through something. So I'm gonna put this weapon in S tier, baby, because it's the best ever. Lo and behold, the return of the soldier tier, because the Market Gardener does nothing as a standard soldier melee weapon. It's worse in every single way as a soldier melee weapon. It only is useful for a soldier loadout, so I'm gonna put it all the way down soldier tier because it does that. It completes the soldier holy like trinity. The secondary is really a choice, I think, of what you want your soldier to be combined with. But the rocket jumper and a Market Gardener go together hand in hand to make one of the weirdest classes ever that you can only play on high tower if you have no life. So I'm gonna put this in soldier tier. The escape plan is the equalizer's cousin who got separated at birth somehow, and I think it's personally better than the equalizer because it does more in general. It doesn't do the whole medic thing, the medic debuff that the equalizer has. So if you're just in a low pinch of health and you can whip this thing out, you can run away really quick and get away from a dangerous situation, get some health backs, and come back rolling out. Or maybe you can charge towards people, but this thing doesn't deal as much damage as a normal shovel. So only if your enemy is a really low health, you can run at them at the speed of like a scout and just bust them up. Pretty funny clipping of that. But this weapon is gonna go in A tier for the goofs and the laughs, or I guess B tier, whatever I decide to do in post. And that's going to be it for the soldier weapon tier list. It's on screen right now. And if you have anything to complain about, you can put down in the comments. I'm probably going to read it and put a heart on it. And maybe if you touch my heartstrings so much, I'm going to leave a reply to it. So thank you so much for watching this far if you made it. I had a very weird time making this video. And I appreciate it if you subscribe because I want to do this for more reasons than just crying every night about my YouTube channel. So see ya. Goodbye.